Hey there! Welcome to our channel Till Infinity. Myself Dia Sani. All of us like colorful patterns, right? But you might be astonished to know that these glowing and beautiful patterns are also found in the universe. These irregular, bright patterns are called as nebulae. Nebulae are one of the most spectacular sights in any galaxy. Nebulae are formed when there is a huge and vast collapse of gases in interstellar medium. Nebulae may also get formed when there is a violent explosion of stars. Nebulae are truly amazing. They are great regions in space where old stars die and new ones born. So, to learn more about nebula, please continue with us till the end. The word nebula comes from Greek, meaning cloud. A nebula is an immense cloud of gas, mainly of hydrogen and dust in interstellar space. A nebula can range over millions of light years in diameter. A light year is a distance that light travels in 1 year in a vacuum. That is 5.88 trillion miles or 9.46 trillion kilometers. Early observers thought that nebulae are a group of faint stars. They might really consist of faint stars, and it was even thought that nebulas are galaxies or small groups of stars. But later, when astronomers viewed them through one of the most powerful telescopes, it proved to be that nebulae are neither faint stars nor galaxies, but they are a fine threshold of cloud. Late in the 19th century, by the use of spectroscope that measures electromagnetic radiation, it proved that nebulas, like the one in Orion, are not made up of stars, but enormous balls of gas. Bright nebulae are found near stars burning at temperatures greater than 25,000 degrees Fahrenheit or 13,000 degrees Celsius. The light from these nebulae show colors of spectrum characteristics of glowing hydrogen and also helium, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, sulfur, and many other atoms. Orion Nebula, for example, contains 300 atoms per cubic centimeter. Here again, most of the material is hydrogen. The atoms in these nebulae glow because they are close to a hot star. When the radiation from this near-hot star excites the electrons of the gases of nebulae, they jump up to a higher energy level, and thus they start glowing. Hence, this kind of nebula is called as emission nebula, and as the name suggests, they emit light. The color of the nebula depends on how hot that nebula is and what are the gases that make up that nebula. For example, in most of the nebulae, the percentage of hydrogen is comparatively greater than other gases. Therefore, most of the nebulas glow red or pink because hydrogen glows red or pink, and oxygen glows green or blue. Now, there are also some nebulae which shine. These are called as reflection nebulae. How is that possible? This is because the dust particles in these nebulae reflect the light from nearby stars. These dust particles also scatter light from the stars in or around the nebulae. This happens in the surroundings of stars which are not hot enough to ionize the hydrogen atoms in the nebulae, but are hot enough to sufficiently scatter the light to make the nebula visible. Reflection nebulae are usually bluish in color. This is because the dust particles more efficiently scatter blue light than red light. The same effect is responsible for our sky being blue. So far, there are 500 known reflection nebulae found by our great scientists and astronomers. Reflection nebulae and emission nebulae are generally found together, and they are usually referred to as diffuse nebulae. Diffuse nebulae are extended and they don't have any well-defined boundaries. One of the best examples of reflection nebulae is Iris Nebula, found in the constellation of Cepheus. Now, what about dark nebula? Sounds strange, isn't it? Dark nebulae are interstellar clouds of gases which have very high concentration of dust. This high concentration of dust results into absorption of more and more light falling over the a dark nebula by reflection nebula that reflects light or stars around, thus making the nebula completely opaque. The form of such kind of dark cloud or dark nebulae is very irregular. They don't have well-defined outer boundaries. The hydrogen in the outer parts of dark nebulae is in its neutral form. But as we go deep within the dark nebulae, dust blocks out an increasing amount of stellar radiation, thus making the nebulae cooler and darker. Now, just like the reflection nebula, dark nebulae can generally be found near emission nebula, or they can also be found near regions which have quite good amount of stars. For example, Horsehead Nebula, the dark nebula. A planetary nebula is a type of nebula that is made up of gas and plasma. A planetary nebula is formed when certain types of stars die. When a sun-sized star blows off its outer layers and runs out of fuel, it starts expanding shells of gas which were once the outer layers of that star. A planetary nebula is a gas shell drifting away from dying stellar core. That remnant of the star core has temperatures reaching about 100,000 degrees Celsius. About 1,500 of them are already known. Planetary nebulae are quite essential in astronomy because they help us in determining the chemical evolution of a galaxy. Maybe they are the only source in other galaxies to know about their chemical abundances. The best example of planetary nebula is Helix Nebula. Planetary nebula is named as such because they look like planets when viewed from small optical telescopes. Supernova remnants are formed when very massive stars die. Supernova remnant is a gas shell moving away from a star's core at great velocities, reaching about 10% of the speed of light, that is 30,000 kilometers per second, following a great explosion called a supernova. Supernovae are something very amazing as well as interesting because they contain all the elements which are required for the creation of a generation of new stars. So, nebula are not just merely colorful and beautiful patterns in the universe, but there's something much more than that. So if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button. You can also like this video and share it. Thanks a lot for watching us.